So welcome everybody to day one of the video every day of August challenge. We're going away on holiday in the van on Friday for 10 days. It's currently Tuesday, so just getting everything ready, giving the van a good clean. Gonna do the inside once I've cooled down a bit because it's absolutely roasting today. It's about 29 degrees. It's quite a good day to wash the van, I suppose, because I've got some water to cool me down, but no doubt I'm getting sunburnt, which isn't good. I think I'm going to have a break after this and then do the inside, and then I was going to give you guys a full tour of the van as well, because we haven't really done that since we very first got the van, and that was kind of a very much a rushed job, I suppose. And there's also some other parts of the van that we didn't know were there when we first got it. So I'm going to finish cleaning the van anyway, take some refuge inside, have a little bit of a break, and then I'll catch you guys in a minute. I don't actually think the van has ever been this clean. Even when we bought it, I don't think it's ever been this clean. And it's actually been quite handy that I've had this week off work, because I would never have had time to have done this. But anyway, this is our van. It's a 2014 Volkswagen Transporter. I'm not sure what the engine size is. I think it might be a 2-litre diesel. It has been remapped as well, so it's got more power than it had when it was first built, and that was mainly to accommodate the additional weight of the conversion that was done on it. It actually started its life as just a standard box van, and it was owned by a window cleaning company, and then the people that we bought it from, they got the conversion done on the van, so the pop-top roof, like all of the insides, like everything was done by the second owner. So as we step inside the van, we've got the twin swivel bench seat in the front. This was one of the main reasons we bought this van, because we wanted to have the 3 seats in the front, and we wanted the bench seat to swivel round, because if you just have the back of the seats, then that limits your living space by pretty much a third really. So having the swivel seat in the front was definitely a must-have. We've also got a table here that swivels around like that, and this is really useful for, well, I tend to sit here and edit videos or eat dinner, and being able to sit here and utilize this space really opens up the rest of the van, and it makes it seem so much bigger, because obviously one of us can sit over here and then the other one can sit over there, or you can have 2 people and the dog over there, or obviously when the roof's up as well, Josh tends to go up on the roof. But just having this space here is really useful for utilising the space in the van. Another feature of this front bench seat that we didn't even realise until we'd had the van for probably about 6 months was that inside the seat there is storage. So if we lift up the front of that and then pop that open, then we have quite a lot of storage in the seat, and we pretty much use this for all of our clothes. We can pretty much get everything we need in this front seat, and it's quite easy to get to. And yeah, didn't even realise we had that until we had the van for about 6 months, so that was quite a good find when we realised that we had that. A lot of the conversions done in VW Transporters are very similar, and that is for obvious reasons really. That's just kind of like how the layout works best. But in the centre of the van, between the swivel bench seat and the bed slash living area at the back, we have our main hub for cooking and storage and that kind of thing. But down here we've got our fridge that runs off of, I think it runs off of 12 volt because it runs without the hookup plugged in. We've got a nice freezer compartment there, and this pretty much gives us enough fridge space probably to keep us going for quite a while, to be honest. It's quite good as well. It does get quite cool in there and holds its temperature even when it's like really hot, so that's really good. And then we've got a cutlery drawer in there. Nothing really too exciting about that, just kind of cutlery in there. So up here, this is our Ebispatcher diesel heater. This also doubles as a ventilation fan, and the output thingamabob, I can't remember what it's called, is just located behind the driver's seat down there. But this button on the left here, this controls the ventilation, so if you press that, then cold air will start coming out of the air vent. Not air conditioning cold, but just kind of like having a fan on really. Oh, that's so nice. That's one thing I forgot to mention as well. We don't have air conditioning in the van. It's something that we've talked about getting, but I think it would cost around about £2,000 to get it installed. So we're not really too sure whether we're going to go with that or not. But for now, at least, we've got the Ebispatcher ventilation, and then this button turns the diesel heater on, and then the arrows just adjust the temperature that you want to set it to. It's a pretty good heater in the winter. It keeps the van really warm and you can keep it ticking over, but because it is a diesel heater, it does get a little bit sort of diesel fumey, so I don't always like putting it on, but if it's too cold then it does quite a good job. And then up here we've got our 2-ring burner for cooking, and then next to that we've got our sink, which we have never used. The owners before us said that they'd never used it either, so I don't think that sink has ever been used. We tend to just store like bread in it and biscuits and things like that. Just don't really ever need to use the sink, and having a grey water for sink waste in the cupboard just takes up too much room, so yeah, we just don't really ever use the sink. And then in this cupboard we tend to keep pots, pans, cleaning products, got a toaster, chopping board, yeah, just kind of like stuff really in that one. This here is our electrical panel, so we've got a plug socket, just a cigarette lighter thing, 2 USBs, and then this controls our electricity, so we can have it on leisure battery or vehicle battery. We always have it on leisure because if you have it on vehicle battery then that will just drain the engine's battery and then you won't be able to start, so we definitely don't want to do that. And then this is just on and off, and then we've got the pump, the lights, and the auxiliary. The auxiliary is the fridge, the lights are the lights, and the pump is for the water pump and the tap, but we never use that. The plug sockets only work if we're directly hooked up to mains. There's not an inverter or anything in here. It is a little bit annoying because it means that we have to be parked on a campsite with hookup in order to use the plug sockets. So we have thought about maybe getting a solar setup with an inverter and maybe sort of playing around with that. But this is kind of what we're running with at the moment, and as long as we're on a campsite with hookup, everything works pretty well. So above the kitchen area we've got these 2 overhead cupboards, and they just drop down like this. They're not that big, but you can quite easily fit tins in there or things of that size, toilet roll, yeah, any kind of bits and pieces like that. They're quite useful. We usually just chuck tins in there though, baked beans, soup, that kind of thing. I'm absolutely cooking in here. I really wish we had some aircon. This is our sleeping area slash living space. Most Volkswagen van conversions tend to have a rock and roll bed that kind of folds out long ways like this, and then you have cupboards over here. But this layout, we've got this whole area as a seating area, and then this bit I'm sitting on here, this does actually come up as a table. There's like a pole that goes in the floor and you can have the table up like that, and it clips into there. We don't actually ever put the table up. I think we used it for maybe the first 2 trips we did in the van, but when you're sitting around here it's just way too squishy with the table, and we just find it a lot easier just to leave the table down. And it also gives you quite a nice storage area underneath the living space as well, and we just keep a plastic tub on wheels underneath that table area. We just tend to put food in there, pasta, bread, like anything really, we just kind of tend to keep in there. And then just keep this whole back section, it's just kind of like a lounging area. I think when Becky's been away on her own in the van a couple of times, she just hasn't even pulled the bed out at all and just slept in this back area, because you can take these sides down and then it just makes it that much bigger for sleeping in as well. So as long as you're not too tall, you could do that. The rest of the seating area at the back has got storage underneath the seats. We tend to keep a blanket covering most of the cushions in the back because, as you can see, it's starting to wear out a bit and we don't want it to wear too much to the point where we have to replace it. So anything else that's kept under the seats in the living area is quite difficult to get to. Well, it's not difficult to get to, but it's a bit annoying to get to. You can access underneath this back seat area from the back of the van when you open the 2 doors. So we tend to keep the awning in there, and we've got the insulating cover for the windscreen we keep in there as well. We've also got a backup gas burner in case our gas runs out, and we've also got our main gas bottle at the back right as well, so we don't really need to access them regularly. Our electrical hookup comes in the van at this back right corner, and then our electrical system is under this right cushion. It's a pretty straightforward electrical system. Like I was saying earlier, there's no inverter or anything, so there's just a box that charges the leisure battery from the hookup, and we've got a small fuse board as well. I'm not really too sure what that does, but yeah, it's pretty straightforward really. There's nothing too fancy in there. So on this other side of the seating area, we can actually pull this front bit out, this is actually how you make the bed. So we can actually access underneath this quite easily. So we tend to keep sleeping bags under there and camping chairs and things that we do use pretty much every day. And then that way you don't have to take the blanket off and then lift this up and then just kind of mess around like that. So that's quite useful to have. And while this is out, I might as well show you how to set up the bed. So the bed is actually quite easy to set up, to be honest with you. We just pull out these two rails here, and then we've got like a metal kind of bridging point which clips between the two. This bit that I'm sitting on here, that pretty much just goes there, and then the two arms, they basically slot in there, and then that's it. And then this sleeping area is absolutely ginormous. You can get two adults sleeping side by side here, and then we've got this whole section here as well, which is quite good if you're really tall. You could sleep diagonally. I mean, I'm 6 foot tall, and I mean, I've got loads of room, but we tend to sleep side by side, and then this bit here is for the dog. It's actually a pretty massive bed, to be honest with you. So then that brings us up to the pop top area. Having the pop top means that obviously you can stand up in the van, but then also we have these slide out boards which sit on these two lips that run down either side of the van, and then if you slide them out like so, then you create a sleeping area or sitting area or whatever you want to call it upstairs. Apparently you can sleep 2 adults up here. I don't know if I'd personally fancy having 2 adults up here, because there is a slight, well, it's not really a bow, I suppose, it is quite strong, but I don't know if I'd feel comfortable sleeping up here with 2 adults. But Josh sleeps up here happily on his own. You can have 2 kids up here, no problem at all. We've just got a piece of foam up here that rolls out with a sleeping bag on top of it, and then that actually stays up there when we bring the roof down. So this can stay up there all the time, which is really handy. On either side of the pop top roof as well are these windows which have kind of bug nets, mosquito nets, whatever you want to call them, and they just kind of zip up and unzip, so they're really good as well for getting some airflow in. There is also a clear window at the front, so I suppose if you were sleeping up here and you had a nice view out the front, you can open that and have a view to the front of the van, I suppose, but generally we keep that closed. The roof itself is operated just by these 2 straps, so you pull it down manually, tighten the straps, and then obviously the opposite way around when you lift the roof up. Another thing I forgot to mention about this seating area at the back, there's actually 4 seat belts, so you can have 4 people seated in the back area. If you take this middle bit out, then you can have 4 people quite comfortably sit there. And then the van can actually hold 7 passengers, including the driver. But I guess that's pretty much everything to show you. We do have an awning that fits onto a rail that runs along the side of the van above the sliding door. I'm not going to put that up now because I can't really be bothered, but when we go away this coming weekend, then obviously we'll show you how the awning works. And it's quite good, it's quite lightweight, so it packs away small, and it just gives you some kind of like weather protection really. Tomorrow I'm going to get the van packed up with everything we need to go away. Going to get the fridge, I was going to say get the fridge warmed up, but get the fridge cooled down, I suppose. I might turn it on now actually, give it a bit of a head start. But I hope you enjoyed the tour of our van. It was a bit more in depth than the first one we did the very first time we went away in the van, that's for sure. A couple of things worth noting is we have wind deflectors over the front windows. That basically means that we can crack the windows open a little bit just to allow some airflow in, and then the rain won't get in or people can't break in or anything like that. We do have curtains that go over all of the windows around the van, like so. Oh! Which is obviously good for keeping the light out and keeping the van slightly cooler as well, because it does tend to turn into a bit of a greenhouse like today when it's really hot. The windscreen and the driver's windows, we've got like a silver screen that like covers all of that. Again, I can't really be bothered to get that out and show you, but we'll put that up when we go away. If you've got any questions about the van that you'd like to know, or anything else, then make sure you leave us a comment in the comment section, or I don't know, if you've got any questions at all, just give us a shout and we'll answer your questions. I'm going to get out of this van anyway because I'm absolutely roasting, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for prepping the van, getting everything ready to go before we go away on holiday on Friday. So until then, safe drive, stay alive, have a lovely day, and I'll see you tomorrow.